And that means live right here at HomeShowRadio, YouTube, Facebook. Today is AskTom Live, all that good stuff. We do a multitude of things, and a lot of it can be found right through our website at HomeShowRadio.com. Of course, the number one thing that got this whole deal started 30 plus years ago was a little radio show that we still do today, and we're very proud of it, on Sports Radio 610 here in Houston, every Saturday from 9 to noon, and Sunday 8 to 11, regular schedule, full shows, both days, and we've been doing it every weekend for almost 35 years, 34 and a half, something like that. And we answer home improvement questions for people who are trying to survive owning a home. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. And of course, Charlie Mosier's been a big part of it with Mosier Media, keeping this thing running. And like I've always said 30 years ago, Charlie, the internet will never mean a thing. Of course, here he is with me on YouTube. And I would have told him, YouTube? What a waste of time, Charlie. But now, of course, I realize it's not.
It's a true story. When we took this show over like 20-something years ago, I was told by someone who will remain nameless, in the radio business, don't worry about that internet stuff. Focus on the radio show. That's what matters. And I was like, and I told them back then that someday this would promote the show. And here we are today. So, but you got to start with the goods, and that's what we got with Tom with his home improvements. He's been a home builder, an educator, motorcycle rider, raconteur, and
just bought a new one today.
and a private in the Texas Guard. Are you still a private? Have they made you general yet?
Private first class. I'm about to hit corporal hopefully next month. Yes.
Oh, late. He's like Gomer Pyle. He's private first class.
I don't think he made corporal. I am a PFC.
You are?
Yes, in the Texas State Guard. Bravo Company out of Rosenberg, Texas.
All right.
Very proud of it.
So what we're going to do today is if you want to go ahead and send in your questions, we'd love to get them. Go ahead and put them in the section, in the comment section below, whether on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll be happy to take your questions and answer them here. Plus, we have some questions and answers we've gotten from the Ask Tom section of our website at HomeShowRadio.com. And we have a world premiere home show video later today and a special guest.
Oh, we got a good one. Yeah.
And a special guest who will join us later today. We have spared no expense to bring you the finest in entertainment today, and there will be no charge for you today. Today's show is free, so enjoy it. So let's get to...
everything we do is free for everybody.
That's right.
We have people that support us. We do just fine.
We do. And we thank our rich uncles for that. So, but we want to start, as we do every show, by talking about what's going on in home improvements around the world and up your block. And that is, of course, is our What's News section. And today's section has to do with how overpriced Houston homes are, relatively speaking. There was a study done of the 100 highest overpriced real estate markets in America, and I'm proud to tell you that Houston came in at number 51 of the 100 most. That's not bad, and actually it's the best bargain going in Texas because San Antonio ranked 45th, Dallas ranked 18th.
Yeah, I believe that.
Dallas is way overpriced. Yeah. Anyway. But
now, people don't realize that Dallas per area is a very small city compared to Houston or San Antonio.
True.
San Antonio being area-wise one of the largest, so that's why their prices are so high because they don't have a lot to choose from.
Well, and actually, this is the Dallas Metroplex, so it's the Dallas-Fort Worth and the mid-cities.
Well, if it's an area out behind it, that gets huge. But Dallas itself is relatively small.
Yeah, and so it ranked 18th. What do you think? Here's a real stumper for you, Tom. What do you think the most expensive home to buy market in Texas to buy a home is?
Gosh, I would have to say somewhere on the coast. What do you got?
Nope. The most expensive place in Texas to buy a home is Austin. It ranks number 2.
Oh, of course. What the heck's wrong with me?
Number 2.
For those of you who have never lived and been a Texan like we are, Charlie and I, whether we're born here or we chose it, Austin doesn't count. We don't think about Austin as Texas.
I think about what
everything around. There's this hole in the middle, and that's what Austin is. I'm serious. We don't consider it part of Texas. It's just but it's there, and we love them. I've been there many times, but it is a hole when it comes to people thinking about the state.
I think about what Kinky Friedman used to say. Kinky Friedman used to say the best thing about Austin is it's not far from Texas, and so,
exactly. There's something weird about it, and plus maybe it's the politicians just to start with, and we'll go from there.
Well, and so here's how the way they did this thing is there's a lot of tight inventory in Texas and strong demand and interest rates, and of course our economy keeps things going. And what they did is they showed home prices over a 25-year trend and where they should be. And according to this trend, a home in Houston should sell for $223,000 on average. What they're really selling for is $275,000. So you can see how much we're ahead of that. Meanwhile, San Antonio is 26% over, Dallas-Fort Worth is 38% over, and Austin is 58% more than, if you go there are people in Austin, I have friends in Austin who have almost new homes, and they're selling them and buying big pieces of land outside of town for what people from California are willing to pay them for their land. Good for them. That's how the program works. The indications nationwide, Tom, though, on this survey out of Florida International University and Florida American University, are that the sale prices nationwide are starting to cap. We've kind of reached the top, and Texans aren't expected to feel the coming downturn as much as other states because, of course, people are moving here. Our economy is going, and it's the land of the free. So that's it
is. And I saw something interesting that kind of. So go ahead.
No. I was playing the music. But go ahead. Right ahead.
I was going to say I saw something interesting real quick for people who are thinking of buying and saying, "I'll wait for the prices to come down." They suspect that when the prices come down, the interest rates will go up about 2 to 3 points. On mortgages, and you can actually buy a less expensive home but get stuck with a higher interest rate and pay more in the life of the loan than if you bought an overpriced home at a 2.5% now. So if you're really serious, take a look and try to juggle your interest rates, because it might not always be best to have it less money.
Right, and it's kind of like I heard on a recent news conference that, yes, everyone's income has gone up, but so has inflation, wiping those gains out. So
it doesn't matter.
So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be the same thing with home prices. So
interest rates, you got a bunch of stuff. So everybody's waiting for it to come down, but the interest rates go up, then it just goes up even more in the long run. So you got to be careful.
I think it's a lot like we talk about planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was a year ago, and second today. So same thing with going by house. We'll have more in the news next week. And remember, we've got something special coming for you at the end of the show, something that will help you take flight. So
and that'll be in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Well, not even that, about 10 minutes.
Our show doesn't go 4 hours. It's not the Johnny
Carson
show.
No. And if you want to put a question in, go ahead. We got one here. Carolyn put one in here. She wants to know, Tom, she's written into it. She says, what is the best cleaner degreaser to use on old knotty pine walls? Carolyn, thank you for being with us. Tom, what say you? Knotty pine walls, cleaner degreaser?
For cleaning up all of these different things, there's a product on the market that I've used for all kinds of stuff, and there's a cleaner on wood that's stained, knotty pine being that. It's Murphy's Oil Soap. I like it. It cleans everything. It oils too, so it enriches the wood. You don't have to get into special formulas. You can do that sometimes. But Murphy's Oil Soap, if you want to do a cleaner on wood, is the way to go. Simple. Buy it at the store. It works.
Yeah, and just a tip, don't overuse it. You use too much of it, and it makes a big old mess.
Sticky.
It is.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Residue?
Yeah, it's one of those
kind of things. If it does, what you can do as a tip, you can take some mineral spirits on a rag, wipe it down if it feels sticky to you, and it'll help cut that surface touch off. But yeah, always follow the directions. More is not better.
Well,
someone didn't do that. That's fine. It's okay.
More sooner is better where money and love are concerned. But that's about it.
And tequila. Okay.
All right, let's get to the questions. Here's our first question from the Ask Tom section today. Comes from Mel in Pearland. He says, what are the pros and cons, Tom, of introducing outside air to your air conditioner?
I don't know of any con at all. It's a pro. In fact, we are, if you listen to some of the speeches lately, talk about that first bill that went through last year that helped all the schools redo their circulation systems in the schools for the COVID. All these different new additions and money being spent on a commercial basis. It goes for the same rules in your home, and a lot of that had to do with fresh air intake. They also had some other lights and scrubbers and stuff on that, but it was all fresh air intake. The whole idea that you get 5 air exchanges an hour in a room is incredibly important and totally ignored. People are bombarded constantly by close it up, make an igloo cooler, you'll live in there, it'll be super cheap, and of course you'll be sick all the time, but your lighting or your cooling costs and heating costs will be a little less. True, but it makes a very unhealthy home. So there's a real advantage to putting one in, a fresh air return in an air conditioning system. If your air conditioning system is the primary thing you're concerned about as opposed to heat, I'll hit on both. That's an energy recovery system if you want to get into a mechanical system. And then, of course, there's a heat recovery system if heating is your big time, like right now up north where people close their homes up and just run their heaters all the time. And if it's forced air, you can have that air exchange also. Incredibly important. And then the best air exchange, if you can't do anything, is crack a window here or there in the home and just let some fresh air in. I know it sounds odd, but it's a healthier way to live.
Crack a window and pop a top.
I don't drink, but if you guys want to, drink away. I don't care, but crack the window.
All right. Teresa
I have a screen door in my house. I just go through the screen door. But
Teresa in Pearland, Tom, wants to know, do I need gas line insurance for a house that's 48 years old? Because we get this question, about this gas line insurance. I mean, if she got a house that's been there that long, I can see where she starts wondering if it's legit.
And you, as well as you should. I don't care about the age of your house. You got 48 there. It could be 36. It could be 52, whatever. The age isn't the issue. Gas lines underground, unless, which happened to my house not too long ago because I live on an easement. We have a huge gas line. The phone company, we called them phone companies. Now they're internet and everything else. Punched a hole in the gas line and the whole neighborhood was evacuated for a little while, at least around that area, and it happened to be close to my backyard. But as far as that goes, and that, by the way, the insurance doesn't cover that. That's a whole different story. But no, gas lines don't go bad underground, and these things have come out. I get them at my house too, and I'm always having to reassure people in my home that it's not an official thing we have to buy, and it takes me a little while to convince them to throw the same notice away, 4 times a year. But as far as that goes, it's you. If you want to buy all the insurance in the world, fine. I'm not going to tell you not to buy something if it makes you feel better. But you're never going to use it. It's not going to help you.
Yeah, we have been getting bombarded with these things lately. For some reason,
bombarding us in the mail.
Yeah, it must be a season for it or something, Tom. I don't know.
It came back. I don't know what it is because we weren't getting them for a long time, and all of a sudden, a year or so later, I'm getting them every 2-3 weeks, and you can see all the neighbors get them because all my neighbors ask me the same question. I said, we just covered this 2 weeks ago. No, throw it away.
Hey, Carolyn, by the way, thanks us for advice, and she wants to know how to find the elbow grease. Is there an aisle you can find that on at the
no, center? But if you make a lot of good pastries and cookies and open up and maybe your neighbors will come over. I don't know. Right, or Carol. If you're a drinking person, put out the margaritas. I'm good with that. I mean, I just don't drink, but it's fine.
Yeah, use the old Mark Twain approach. Just make it look fun and everybody want to help you. Yeah, you kids who've been in school too recently to be taught Mark Twain, shame on your teachers. Go Google it. All right.
That's true. But it's funny, real quick. When I was a kid, my mother bought that oil soap, made me do the entire living room. I was probably 8 to 9 years old, and she found a way to get her elbow grease. It was little Tommy Tynan. Okay. That was my first experience with it.
Well, today you could call.
It was a nightmare.
You could call CPS and tell them you're being exploited.
Exactly.
You're an exploited child. Yeah.
Mom.
We turned out okay. All right. So,
I don't
question.
know about that.
Next one comes from
We
Richard.
tried.
Yeah, that's true. True. Anyway, we sit in a room talking to ourselves. Everything is normal. Okay, Richard writes to us from League City. He says, I've previously replaced a flapper valve seat, but it has begun to leak again. Can I do another repair on top of the other one, or do I need to remove the old one first? And I guess what he's asking, Tom, is if he's replaced the seat on it, I guess he wants to put another one thinking that maybe it'll seal better. Is that legit?
Well, what happens is you have the seat. The seat is the component. It's called a valve, and it's what the flapper flaps down on top. So it's this part here, and around the top edge, it can get all just in really bad shape. If you have to replace it, if it is really bad shape where that flapper hits it, then you'd have to take the tank off, because it's the component that goes through the tank into the bowl. So it means dismantling with the tank onto the bowl. But I can tell you this, if you get the water out of there and if it just feels rough to you, you can take some very fine sandpaper and sand the top of it. And if you can get it nice and smooth, and then take a little Vaseline and petroleum jelly, put it underneath the flapper ring, so when it goes down, that jelly gets into any little areas, it'll stop it from leaking. And a lot of people will do that for a long time, because it's a pain to take it apart. And if you can get away without the Vaseline and just use sandpaper, that will work too.
I'm sorry, there's a fire engine pulling in here, over next door to me
I
here.
heard a little bit, not too much.
Yeah, it's like,
a little squeak.
obviously the show's pretty hot today. They're worried that we're going to spontaneously
As long as it's not
combust.
your building, Charlie.
Right.
If you get a knock on your door, start running.
I'll keep it. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for that.
And then I'll do my TikTok dances.
give you something else to worry about. All right. Hey,
Yes.
I haven't got enough going on already. That's perfect. All right. Rual in Austin, Texas writes to us. He says, I keep my 5-year-old electric water heater at 130 degrees per your recommendation, Tom Tynan, but it's now 122 at the sink. The question is, should I just turn up the temperature on the heater, or is this a sign of another problem?
Well, first off, the 130 is in the tank. So that's what you want. Now, here's the funny thing for those of you who might be watching from colder states. In Texas, we don't handle cold well. And if it's 40 degrees, people pretty much shut down the city. Oh, it's, when I lived in Lake Placid, people would open their shirts up and get a suntan at 40 degrees with sun out, because it was like summertime. So it really depends where you live. But here's what's happening probably to Rual, if I'm pronouncing it right, is right now it is colder in Texas. Water coming into the home is colder. The pipes that are going through your house are colder. So by the time the water leaves the water heater and gets to your kitchen sink, it's probably getting rid of a lot of heat. Because the water's colder, the air is colder, the attic's colder, the interior of the walls are colder. This is where all the pipes are. So if it's that and it doesn't bother you and it's hot enough at your sink for you to do what you need to do, but it's still staying 130 in the tank, and that keeps all the bacteria down and away. 120 degrees should be fine for doing just about everything, and especially showering and everything else, because that's around 100 to 104 degrees on a hot shower. That's about as hot as you're going to get it. So it should be fine, but I have a feeling you're getting a lot of heat dissipating off of those pipes really quick. And so it is cooling it down. In the summertime, when it's 140 in the attic or 120 in the attic, the heat doesn't really leave very quickly, so you can keep that temperature full strength. If you want to turn it up, you certainly can.
I got yelled at by Mrs. Mojer just today about this very
so
matter.
What's new?
Well,
Yes.
in the morning, it takes a while for the hot water. The hot water heater is up in the, the water heater is up in the attic, and we're down on the first floor. It's got to come down, 2 stories to us. And by the time the water gets there, it takes a while. And, I need, warm water shave and all that. And so I'll start the shower, and then I'll go shave. And, the shower gets the hot water down quicker, so I can get done and get in there and get out of there. Well,
I agree.
Well, the city of Houston agrees too. So much so that our water bill, she told me, is higher than our electric bill. And I told her that's because Tom Tynan gave me great advice on getting a low electric rate. It's not because I'm using too much water. But she didn't buy that at all.
That's true too. Well, if you go back to the history of my show, Home Show Radio, I talked about how eventually water bills will outpace electric bills. It was going to happen, and it has been happening, and it happens at my house too, certain months out of the year. My water bill is going to be higher. I can give you an example, though. My water bill is, I use $20 worth of water. We use, I do the same thing, Charlie, you do, by the way. And we have $20 of sewer fee. That's like $45. It's 22 or something. But all the charges put on top add another $60 to it. And it has nothing to do whether you use one drop or you use 1 gallon. It doesn't matter. Those charges are what killing people. So really dissect your bill. It's not your water usage. That's pretty reasonable. It's the billing that the service fees and everything that come with it now for all the
killing
plants
people
and stuff.
It's killing people. There's a mortal risk in running water
say,
now. Yeah,
yes,
he says killing people. Okay.
Well, then I would, put the margaritas away, dear. I got to get to them later, not now.
Your wife's not there. Who are you talking to?
People's Sandy over there with the margarita machine. I have a Sandy too, by the way. As far as that goes, you lost my train of thought. Okay, it's hurting people's bills because they're going up, but it's not the water usage. It's actually that.
Okay.
And I mentioned that years ago on my show. And what's so funny is Seinfeld I'm a big Seinfeld fan, you are too. They did a show. Jerry said, you're going to use the apartment? Yeah, if you need hot water, turn the shower on, go grocery shopping. When you come back, the shower will be hot. So it's been around a long time, those kind of concepts. Run it for a while.
All right. Now, we have a treat coming up for you in just a minute. We've got one more question. But in a moment, we are going to be joined by Jim Hardwick from
Jim.
Ideal Roofing. Jim, how are you?
Good.
Good. You just hold that.
I haven't seen you in so long. You shaved all that hair off your face. Thank goodness.
Yeah, but I want you
to
hold that thought. We got one more question, Tom, before we get to that. Okay. He says this one comes to us from. Hang on a second. Let me just fix that there a second here. Mute Jim here a second.
Sienna Plantation.
There we go. Yeah, from Sienna Plantation. That's where Mariel is. She says, I'm working on a client's home that was burned and needs to be repaired. Some framework will have to be done due to charred wood. My question is, should I work with an architect for new plans and treat it like a new build? I know that when you first bought your house, you had a little conflagration as well.
I did. But you don't need an architect unless you're changing, the whole thing. If you want to just tear it down, redo the whole house, build a brand new house, it's different. Then the architect would definitely be needed. If you're going to just go back and rebuild what was there, probably to today's standards now, they're going to make you upgrade everything. And if they don't, you should anyway, and you probably will. Which I did too, which really turned out to be really good for me because my house is built so much better in my neighborhood than the ones that have been there for 30 or 40 years, actually 40 years longer than mine. Although mine kind of looks the same in the neighborhood, it's built all to today's standards, or at least better standards. So the fact of the matter is, a contractor, the remodeling company, the renovation company, whoever you're hiring to come in there, they might have to do some plans, but if you have pictures and stuff, and if you have a memory, they can probably just do the wall plans and stuff and go ahead and build it back. An architect firm is not needed unless it's required by a city, a municipality. I'm not sure, but in Sienna Plantation, I doubt that's going to be required at all.
Yeah, I think your bigger problem would be the HOA, but
always the HOA has to approve everything. But if you just show them pictures and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, but an architect doesn't necessarily have to do easy plans. I had mine, the company that came, the renovation company, I just sat with a guy at the AutoCAD, and he said, was this how it was? Was this how it was? And they just did a schematic, so everybody had something to work off of. It was pretty simple.
All right. Well, let's bring Mr. Hardwick back in here. James, how are you? Now, Jim, just so you know, Jim always likes me to let everybody know that he is the longest running Home Show Pro on the entire program. And so I just want to make sure that I give you, did I get that right?
Yeah, longest continuous.
Continuous. I was waiting for the kicker. Okay.
There it is. Okay. Sorry, Jim. I don't mean you. I mean the other Jim.
Though. He's right. He's right.
Well,
By the way,
everybody-
hey, you guys look great. They say the camera adds pounds. I think both of y'all look fantastic. You look like you're trim.
Listen, we're both
Jim,
spoken
since
for.
you've seen me, I lost 45 pounds.
I don't know where you're hoping to get with this. We're both spoken for, Jim. So,
I'm not.
hey, the reason Jim is here is that we are going to premiere a brand new video we did about some technology that Ideal Roofing has. And when we're after the video,
very
we're gonna
cool, Jim.
have Jim talk about it a little bit. So let's go ahead and get to that video.
So once we start the flight, the drone takes off by itself on our command.
Add roof inspections to the list of things changed by technology.
We closely monitor the drone while it's over your house, but it flies by itself and does all the close-ups and lands right back in the spot after about 9 minutes all by itself.
That's all it takes this drone to map every single shingle. AI helps it find every problem spot.
The drone, in conjunction with the software, has AI, or artificial intelligence. It detects the imperfections in the roofing surface, and it'll circle certain things like nail pops, missing shingle, torn shingle, or even excess granule loss or hail damage.
Every flight makes this drone even smarter.
We either confirm or recategorize what it's circling or what that imperfection is. And as we continue to do that, its accuracy gets more and more accurate as the time goes on.
This drone has one more trick up its sleeve.
The other thing I like about this software is it's basically a third party that's giving this information to the homeowner and to us, the roofer, so that they can make a decision. So it's something else detecting the issues with your roof, and it's not just us or the roofing company that's doing it. So now the homeowner can see these items just like we're seeing them through this software and drone.
Software stitches thousands of drone images together to create a hyper-detailed view of your roof no manual inspection could match.
After the flight, we sit with the homeowner and go over this generated report. Now the homeowner can make an educated decision on how to proceed with their roof.
One small flight for a drone, one giant leap forward for roof inspections.
Whether it's simple maintenance items, maybe they should contact their insurance company because the drone found a bunch of damage. So we go over these items and help the homeowner make their best decision for their roof.
The result? More precise inspections and a better roof.
They see what we see from the safety of the ground without having to get on the roof.
For HomeShowRadio.com, I'm Tom Tynan.
Now, I'm going to tell you, Jim, my bride, Sandy, doesn't miss a trick. She's at home watching this. And when you recorded that, that's my house you're standing in front of there. And Jim called me and said, you know, Charlie, there are no granules left on your roof. And Sandy just
That's
wrote in
your
to let
roof,
us
Charlie?
know that we'll be needing you very soon.
Oh, boy.
Thank you,
Oh,
man.
man, that roof did not look good.
I guess we're going to
Sorry.
put off that pool one more year now. Right. So let's talk about that drone, Jim. I mean, tell me about this. How did this come to be?
Well, I was frustrated as a roofer as homeowners call us and they want us to give an inspection, which we did in the past. But there's so many different variables that comes into that type of an inspection when they're, to give them a third party, like it said in the video. It's just not my opinion. It's also this technology's opinion of what it's finding. Also the safety factor, not just for our guys, but homeowners are also concerned for our safety because they know when it's 2-story and super steep, they don't want anybody up there that's not up there every day like our crew guys. And then the third thing is we're reducing the foot traffic on the roof. So if there is no damage, we're not creating damage, which does happen when you get your insurance adjuster, another roofer, a third roofer, and they get up there. Next thing you know, it has happened where homeowners have called us and they either consider it been vandalized by somebody else or it's been foot traffic, but they're not going to pay for that because it's not an act of, Mother Nature. And so when this came about and came to my attention, this software, we incorporated about 2 years ago, and it's been working out fantastic. Homeowners love it because they can see what we see, and it's easily explained instead of us trying to either take pictures with a cell phone. Could you imagine us walking on someone like your roof, Charlie, how many hours it would take to take a picture of every single piece of damage? And this drone does it in a matter of 9 minutes.
On my
It
roof?
circles everything and blows it up.
On my roof, I would suggest you get one of those like north face tents that you could spend the night on, and I think my roof is old, is significantly older than this. The thing that amazes me about that drone is, and Mark, who shot that video, great job by the way, Mark. Video looked great. The drone, your operator just hits the button and the drone goes and does the rest.
Yeah, we do. It's a pre-flight plan. The software, we type in the address and it pulls up the overhead of the roof, and we basically outline that, connect the dots. It's all set. We get out there, we set the height level, we look at the trees, what's the maximum height of the trees. We tell it its parameters, and that's it. Hit the button. It does everything on its own, and it also gives us the measurements too.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I like it. I want one. I just want to go around and play with it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, we're up to 4, I believe. I like to call it a fleet. We have a fleet, so we have 4 of them. And
I'm
all
good
the
with
guys
that.
are trained on them, and yeah.
Jim, if I call Ideal Roofing and I'm going to get a roof, is this something they just automatically do when you come out? You come out and say, "Yep, let me take a look at your roof," and up it goes, or is there something extra that I've got to do to get this service?
Well, it kind of depends on the homeowner. Usually the homeowner kind of knows if they need, it goes on their request. So if they have leaks or they have an aging roof and they know it's a 15, 18, 20-year-old roof, they say, hey, will you guys come out and take a look at the roof? Or they just had recent storm activity like we had 2 weeks ago or last week. And they said, hey, my neighbors, and we got hit with either hail or a bad windstorm, because it'll detect all that. And they live in a 2-story house, and it's not as simple as just walking out and looking up to see if they can see damage. So they'll call us up and we'll go out there and we'll fly.
So you're doing this on every estimate then?
No, not on every. Some of them they know, or
okay.
It just depends. Sometimes if they've already had the damage and their insurance company's already been out there and they've already said it's damaged, then we don't need to fly it. We don't do redundancy.
Right.
But we do offer it and fly it on anybody that requests it. Yes.
Well, Jim, I'm not quite sure about my roof, whether I really need to replace it or not. You might need to.
We can wait for the ceiling to fall in after a heavy rainstorm and let all the leaking and everything happen first. We're good with that, Charlie.
Right.
I'll call you after the show, Jim. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, by the way, have you given this thing? We tend to give inanimate objects names. Have you given these things a name yet?
Yeah, Inspector Busby.
Inspector Busby. I like it. Number 1 through 4.
If you notice in the video, it's already decaled in the shape of a bee.
So, that's cool. All right. So that's.
Well, at least you don't have a dog sniffing out termites. I remember those days. That was a long time ago.
Right.
So this one makes more sense. But I got one question about it. This is an IT question, and I don't know anything about it. Does that software go into all the drones, or do you have to have a special drone for it?
Yeah, and it's the only reason we bought a nice drone for the camera quality, but there's a separate piece of software that you use that's in conjunction with the drone. And the other piece of information is what that drone does is as it detects the imperfections, it circles it and brings it to our attention, the roofer, and blows it up and circles and say, here, what is this? Wow. And the AI will say, we think it's a nail pot. Is that accurate? And then we as the roofer say, yeah, that is a nail pot. Or it's not, but we correct it. And so we're the editors of it. And so as it's being used thousands of times, that's why it's like 90% accurate. It basically says, is this a nail pot? And you're like, yeah, it is. How does it know it's a nail pot? Because it's learning as we're correcting it.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Jim, thank you so much for coming. And if y'all want to see that video, it'll be up at HomeShowRadio.com this afternoon, I think, or tomorrow, or as soon as we can get the brain trust to put it up there. And they're probably already 3 steps ahead of me and Tom. So you'll find it. And Mark, again, great job on the video. And Jim, thanks for being here. And we'll look forward to seeing you again.
All right,
Jim,
thanks,
nice seeing you again.
Tom.
I'll see you soon.
All right.
All right.
All right. And that's going to about do it for us today. Before I go, I want to make sure we tell you that Jim is, of course, one of our home show pros.
Oh, please.
And it's not come up. Here it is. He's one of our, there it is. Hey, he's one of our home show pros. Wrong button. There it is. And
it's
we've got
Ideal Roofing, the longest continuously running sponsor of Home Show Radio. I
You're
did
done?
it for him. I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm
So
done.
if
Yeah, I
you'll
got the
find them all on our
continuous in.
you'll find them all on our homepage, and of course you'll find them listed by category as well. We only make this
Yeah.
look easy. All right, and of course Tom makes
Yeah.
it sound
No, we don't.
easy every weekend on the radio.
Every weekend, 9 to 12 on Saturday, 8 to 11 on Sunday on Sports Radio 610, Houston, Texas. And you can catch our podcast, Spotify. Am I right, Charlie? All the other venues that radio goes on to.
Yeah, and Apple Podcasts
HomeShowRadio.com.
and everywhere else you'll find it. Plus, there's a stream at the website. You hit the listen button, 24 hours a day you can hear Tom. Okay, so
Okay.
so there you go. For your entertainment, or if you want to punish your children, it's available to you
Definitely punish your children.
at HomeShowRadio.com. We will be back here again next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, 4 o'clock Central Time, to answer your questions. In the meantime, remember to hear Tom and find us at HomeShowRadio.com.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show